What is paraphrasing? See, as a writer, when you're writing something, you cannot copy somebody else's content. You cannot copy somebody else's content. So, if you have to mention a popular theory, then you have a choice. If you either do not give detail, just give the name and ask the reader to read from that source, or else you can very briefly discuss in your own language. Don't use their exact words. You can find simpler words and express those things in your own language, so that you are, you're not violating the copyright law. You're not plagiarisming. Your content will is not plagiarismed. At the same time, you are able to communicate, but you have to give due references of the content, so that the reader can refer for detail to that original content. So the original content is written in, let's say, 10,000 words. You have given one paragraph in your own language, identifying the key issues and suggesting the reader to read for detail the original text. You have written something in your own language without copying, but your intention is to introduce the subject, introduce the content to the reader. This is called plagiarism. This is called paraphrasing. Now, paraphrasing is allowed, so you can continue with it. And this will help you in sharing your thought about other published papers. It will help you in writing literature review. It will help you in writing the contents of literature review. Because in literature review, your primary intention is to discuss the theories which have been developed by other authors. When you're writing your thesis is organized and presented in a structure. The first part is introduction, then comes literature review, where you discuss the important researches and you compare them, and you identify trends of research, you identify research gaps which will guide you in your researches later on. You discuss the research methodology used by other researchers, the key findings, the methodology they have used, your observations, discussions. If any issue is to be studied now, then mention about them. So this is how you have to cover literature review part. So in literature review, if you have read 51 articles before starting your work, then in your literature review, you will give, let's say, one paragraph or a few lines on each of these 51 research papers that you have read. And you will mention them in your own language. And that's called paraphrasing. And in this way, you are able to write your second chapter, literature review. Thereafter, you will write third chapter and fourth chapter, where you will focus now on the research issue. You will mention about your research hypothesis. You will mention about the research objectives and how you plan to achieve them, and your research methodology in detail. And then thereafter, actual data analysis, collection, discussion will come. So this is how your chapter is your thesis is organized. So the second chapter of the thesis is literature review, which will require you to paraphrase the researches undertaken by other people in your own language in simple text.